Hi guys, this is a release and relax class, so it's a really nice one to do just before bed. Get a little bit stretchy, easing into the muscles, but nothing too strenuous. So for this one, you'll probably want a couple of props. So just grabbing some cushions, pillows, maybe a blanket, whatever you've got around. And we're going to start in a seat, so if you've got a block as well, this can be quite helpful just to create some lift through the spine when we're in a seated position. Otherwise you can use a cushion. So just bringing yourself to a comfortable seat when you're ready, and resting the hands onto the tops of the thighs or the knees. Hands can be palms facing up or down. Closing down the eyes when you're ready, and we'll just take a couple of moments to check in with the body and the breath. Beginning by seeing if you can start to root down through the sitting bones, creating some lift and length through the spine, reaching up through the crown of the head and softening the shoulders away from the ears as you exhale. And just bringing a gentle engagement into the core here to support you in this seated position. And then when you're ready, starting to take your focus to a point in the body that you can feel the breath moving most vividly. So that might be the belly rising and falling, or the chest and the ribs expanding and contracting. Maybe bringing your awareness to the tip of your nose, feeling the breath flowing in and out through the nostrils. And noticing how the breath is initially, so whether it's short and shallow or long and deep. And then gradually seeing if you can start to deepen the breath, matching the length of the inhalation and the exhalation, starting to create a smooth, even breathing pattern deep into the belly. And finally, just taking a moment to notice any activity in the mind right now. So if you're doing this practice just before bed, it's the end of the day, noticing if there's any leftover thoughts from the rest of your day. Maybe the mind's quite busy. You might be drifting into planning mode or time traveling into the past or the future. So just recognizing whatever thoughts are arising for you right now. Trying not to attach to those thoughts, just noticing them. And then seeing if you can allow them to drift away. Bringing your focus back to the breath. Starting to turn inwards. Letting go of any busyness. Letting go of striving. When you're ready, gently dropping the chin towards the chest. Fluttering the eyelids open and drawing the head back to center. So you can remain on your block or your cushion for this next part, or you can come off it. I'm going to take some side stretches in a moment, so if you're feeling a little bit too high on your block, then just removing it from underneath you. We're going to start by warming up through the neck and the shoulders. So just placing the hands again onto the tops of the thighs or the knees, and then when you're ready, starting to drop the chin towards the chest. And we will start to make some big circles round to the right, so rolling the chin towards the right shoulder. And then when you're ready, starting to take the head back behind you. And just starting to roll all the way through the neck. So if you notice any areas of tension along the way, feel free to stop and just hang out there for a moment. See if you can ease into that tension. So just sending the breath to wherever you're feeling it. For me, this is quite intense. I hold a lot of tension in the back of my neck and my shoulders, so it can be quite nice just to really slowly move through this movement, easing into any pockets that feel really stiff. Seeing if you can loosen and soften into those areas. So just taking those big circles in your own time. Stopping off at any points that you feel like you can ease out some of those tense areas. And then just continuing on your journey, rolling the head back behind you and then over to the opposite shoulder. Taking one more of those circles to the right in your own time. And then the next time the head comes back to center, reversing in the other direction. So taking the chin over to the left shoulder this time. Again, dropping into any places where you feel tightness. Seeing if you can use the breath to soften and open into those spaces. And then just continuing to roll the head round to the opposite shoulder. And then back to center. So keeping the breath flowing as you make these movements. And we're just trying to bring some mindfulness to the movements that we make this evening. So being really aware of your own body, trying not to strive and get super deep into positions. Just easing in, using the breath. So taking one more circle to the left. And then when the chin comes back to the center of the chest this time, lifting the head. And from here, we're just going to drop the right ear towards the right shoulder. So trying not to pull that right shoulder up towards the ear, seeing if you can allow the head to drop towards the shoulder. And again, you might feel quite an intense pull down that left side of the neck. I definitely do. So you might want to bring some micro movements into this, maybe taking the gaze towards the ceiling and then down towards the floor, easing in and out. Finding that pull in the neck and just easing in, using the breath. So you might be feeling something here, you might be feeling nothing. staying with the breath wherever you are. And then on the next inhale, bringing the head back to center. Noticing how it feels to stretch one side, maybe a little bit weird. And then taking the left ear towards the left shoulder when you're ready. Finding that initial pull down the right side of the neck. Breathing into it. If you aren't feeling much here, this is super intense for me. I know that I obviously have really bad posture, but if you want to get deeper, then maybe bringing the left hand to the outside edge of the head and just encouraging that left ear further down towards the shoulder. If it's already enough, staying where you are, maybe starting to tilt the head up towards the ceiling and then down towards the floor. Rocking through the neck. Finding some stillness, easing in. On the next inhale, I could stay there all night, coming back to center. It's one of those, feels nice and horrible at the same time. Maybe just rolling the shoulders out. And then when you're ready, we're going to take a side stretch. So inhaling the arms up. And as you exhale, bring the right fingertips down to the right side. And starting to reach that left hand up and over the head. So seeing if you can drop the shoulder away from the ear a little bit. You can have the arm straight here or bend into the elbow if you want to keep it nice and soft. Keep rooting down through the sitting bones. Trying not to collapse in through the chest, so keep opening the chest up towards the ceiling. Maybe sinking a little bit deeper, crawling those right fingertips further away. Possibly dropping down onto the right forearm if it feels right for you to do so at this time. Or you might just take a little soft bend into that right elbow if you want to bring yourself deeper. So breathing into that stretch down the left side of the body. And then on the next inhale, lifting yourself back up, reaching through the fingertips, finding some length down the sides of the body. And then releasing the left fingertips to the left side, starting to reach that right hand up and over the head. Again, bending into the elbow if you want to keep it gentle on that right shoulder. Or taking the right hand up and over the head, straightening out the arm. Coming as deep as you like. So again, listening to your own body throughout this practice. We're just looking for nice stretches, nothing too deep, nothing too intense. And then on the next inhale, bringing yourself back up to center. From here, we're going to take a fold forwards over the hips. So you can just take your normal fold, crawling the fingertips out in front. If you want to keep this nice and gentle and relaxing, you might bring your little platform of cushions and blankets in, if you've got some. So you can just have those in front of you. Still looking for some length through the spine before we fold, so just bringing the fingertips in front of you, inhaling, lifting up through the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, starting to hinge forwards over the hips. But you can just allow the chest or the belly to rest onto your platform here. Maybe taking the hands out in front, resting onto the forearms. So again, just finding your own depth. Listening to your own body. So normally we're really concerned with making sure that we're not rounding through the shoulders here. In this kind of restorative version of the position, you're probably going to have a little bit of a rounding. But just seeing if you can allow the upper body to relax forwards here. So letting gravity do the work for you, allowing the chest to melt towards the cushion or the floor. And breathing into wherever you're feeling it. So maybe you're feeling it in the hips, or the thighs. Seeing if you can keep pressing the hips to the floor behind you. And then if you do create some space here, you might want to get a little bit deeper. So if you've got multiple cushions, maybe releasing one and folding further forwards. And just taking 2 more breaths here, wherever you are. And on the next inhale, starting to walk the hands back in towards the body. So hopefully we're in a cross-leg position of some description. And you've probably got one leg crossed in front of the other. They might be in front or maybe one's on top. Either way, we're going to switch the legs. So for me, the right foot was in front, and now I'm going to bring the left foot in front. So if the right leg was on top, bringing the left leg on top. And then we're going to take another forward fold. So inhaling, reaching the hands up. And as you exhale, starting to hinge forwards again over the hips. Planting the fingertips. Inhaling for length through the spine, exhaling for depth. So you might want to get deeper in this second round. Maybe coming down onto the forearms. Again, just listening to your own body. So those props are there if you need them, hopefully. I'm assuming that you've got some. So using whatever you need and keeping this as soft as you like. Allowing the forehead to drop towards the cushion or the floor. Letting the neck and the head hang heavy. And then on the next inhale, lifting the forehead, lifting the chest, walking the hands back in. And from here, we're going to come into a wide leg position. So taking the legs out. Again, make sure you've got your cushion and your blanket, whatever you've got handy. And we do want to engage a little bit into the legs here, so flexing through the toes, seeing if you can press the backs of the legs into the floor beneath you, and finding a little bit of lift up through the crown of the head. And we're going to take a twist to the right leg first, so bringing the fingertips either side of that right leg, inhaling, lifting up through the crown of the head. As you exhale, beginning to fold any amount over that right leg. So making sure the torso is pointing directly towards the leg. Again, you can just rest on the fingertips here if you want to make it super gentle and relaxing, then maybe grabbing your blanket and resting it onto the top of the leg, just to give yourself a little bit more height to kind of fold and mold over. So again, just dropping the chest towards the leg or the cushion or the blanket, folding in, and sending the breath in those long deep waves to wherever you're feeling this in the body. Taking 2 more breaths here. And then on the next inhale, lifting the chest, picking up your support and starting to turn towards the left leg. So planting it on top of the leg if you're using it, bring the fingertips either side of that left leg, using those fingertips as anchor points just to help you twist further around the corner. Inhaling, lifting up through the crown of the head, and then as you exhale, beginning to hinge forwards over that left hip, any amount. So again, don't worry about grabbing the foot here, getting super deep. Just allowing your body to soften forwards, settle in, finding your first edge and sending the breath to that point in the body. Two more breaths here. And on the next inhale, lifting the chest. From here, we're going to come into our wide leg forward fold. This one I definitely recommend using a cushion or a couple of cushions in front of you. So for a lot of people it can be quite hard to come forward in this position. I know for me it took me a long time to feel like I was getting anywhere. So I would definitely recommend, if you've got one, to use your block. And you can use a cushion in the same way, but a block's really helpful just to get this tilt through the pelvis in order to start to reach the chest further forwards. So just coming up onto your block, if you've got one, we're right on the edge of the block, so we're barely sitting on it. You'll probably roll off it as you come forwards, and that's absolutely okay. So as I say, we're just looking for that pelvic tilt as we come forwards. I've just rolled off mine. You need to be on it a little bit. So coming right onto the edge of the mat, the block, and then grabbing your cushions and drawing them right in towards the body. So as you start to fold forwards, just allow the belly to rest onto your cushions. And again, as we did before in our forward fold, we're just melting the chest forwards onto your support. And you can just hug around the cushions here. Again, sending the breath to wherever you're feeling this. So it's still going to be a little bit intense into the hips, even though we're not coming as low. We're just seeing if we can allow the body to open slowly. So as you start to create some space in this position, maybe, that's me coming off the block, you might find again that you can start to release a layer or a cushion. So maybe taking one away if you feel that you can get a little bit lower. And again, just starting to allow the chest to fall towards your support. And just taking 2 more deep breaths here, wherever you are, keeping it as relaxed as you like. Remember, we're not trying to strive to get super deep in these positions, just allowing the body to relax and release in its own time. And then on the next inhale, pressing into the hands, lifting the chest, walk the hands back towards the body. Get rid of your cushions. Bring the hands to the backs of the knees. Slowly, in your own time, draw the legs in. And then from here, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. So coming into Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose, grabbing around the feet or the ankles, and then just seeing if you can create a little bit of lift up through the crown of the head, still lengthening through the spine. If this is really intense in your hips, then maybe just giving the knees a little wiggle out, finding some space, fluttering the knees, easing in. Maybe just tucking the chin towards the chest here for a moment, finding some length down the back of the neck. And coming to stillness with the knees, lifting the chin away from the chest, inhaling, lifting up through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, beginning to hinge forwards over the hips. So no need to come to your deepest version of this position, just finding a stretch into the hips. You can keep the chest quite lifted. If you do want to open a little bit more into the hips and it's available for you, you might bring the elbows or the forearms into the hips and just start to ease the knees further towards the floor. And then keep sending the chest forwards. Maybe getting deeper as you exhale. But again, just come as deep as you like. Keep it soft, keep it gentle. On the next inhale, lifting the chest. Bring the hands to the backs of the knees. Slowly draw the knees together and then take the feet out as wide as the mat. Bring the hands behind the back, so fingertips are pointing towards the bum. Lifting up through the chest, and then just start to windscreen wiper the legs from one side to the other. So taking both knees to the right, lifting through the chest, and then taking both knees to the left. Again, lifting through the chest. So just working from the knife edges of the feet, rolling from side to side. Coming back to center, take the legs out in front, give the legs a little shake out, and then when you're ready, we're going to make our way over to tabletop position. Just coming through a couple rounds of gentle cat-cow, so bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, knees hip-width distance apart. Inhaling, pressing into the hands, begin to drop the belly towards the mat, reach the sitting bones high. Press the chest through the arms, gaze up. And then as you exhale, press into the hands, but keep it a little bit more soft than you usually would. So rather than really activating into the palms and getting super deep rounding through the shoulders. Still rounding, but maybe not so much. So just a gentle pressure into the hands. Tuck the chin towards the chest. Tilt the tailbone under. Navel towards spine, and then inhaling, gazing up. So just continuing for a few more rounds using your own breath. If there's any other movements that you'd like to bring into this to find some movement into the spine and the hips, maybe taking the gaze over one shoulder and then the other, Maybe creating some little circles into the hands and the wrists. So just finding some movement into the spine in your own way. Seeing if you can move intuitively with your own body. Listening to whatever feels good for you in this particular moment. And then when you're ready, coming back to a neutral spine. Tucking the toes, we're going to come back to a downward facing dog. Just one, and again, keeping it soft. So when you're ready, pressing into the toes. Hovering the knees away from the mat. Keep a bend into the knees if you'd like to here. So again, we're keeping this soft, just finding a little bit of length down the backs of the legs, maybe pedaling out the feet. Easing into the hamstrings. And then when you're ready, just starting to walk both feet towards the hands. Taking a nice deep bend into the knees when you arrive there. And coming into ragdoll. So allowing the belly just to rest onto the tops of the thighs. Grabbing opposite elbows. Making sure the feet are hip width distance apart. And starting to drop the crown of the head towards the floor. Tucking the chin towards the chest. And then swaying from side to side through the hips. So again, seeing if you can allow gravity to pull the crown of the head towards the mat. Finding more length through the spine. Maybe if it's okay for you, bringing more weight into the front of the foot so that you can lengthen further down the backs of the legs, and again find more length through the spine. So just unwinding the body here, releasing any tension, swaying it out. You can gently shake the head out, yes and no, and maybe inhaling. Drawing the hands away from the legs slightly. And then as you exhale, releasing through the mouth. Again, inhale. Exhale, sigh out through the mouth. Last time, inhale. Exhale, release through the mouth. Again, just for another moment, tucking the chin towards the chest, lengthening more through the spine, allowing the crown of the head to fall towards the floor, bringing weight into the arms, and then as you exhale, releasing that grip on the elbows, planting the hands onto the mat, stepping both feet back or walking back to your downward facing dog. And then dropping down onto the knees when you're ready. We're going to make our way onto our belly. So taking the legs back, lowering yourself down. Coming into baby cobra. So bringing the big toes together, drawing the hands back until the hands are underneath the shoulders, and squeezing the elbows into the sides of the body. So often in our baby cobra, we're hovering the hands away from the mat. We're not even going to do that this evening, keeping the hands planted. So this is a really small, gentle back bend. Again, listening to your own body. So not worrying about getting super deep. Just gently working into the spine. So as you inhale, pressing into the hands, start to press the pubic bone down into the mat. Press into the tops of the feet. And then begin to peel the chest away, small amount, lifting the chest away from the mat, keeping that bend into the elbows, squeezing the elbows into the sides of the body, and then exhaling, coming back down. So 2 more of those, inhaling, pressing into the hands, squeezing the elbows in, peeling the chest away, and then exhaling to lower. 1 more, inhale, press and lift, and exhale to lower. From here, take the arms out wide, coming into this T shape, and we're going to come into a shoulder opening stretch now. So keeping the left arm out to the left side, bring the right hand in underneath the shoulder. Take the gaze towards the right side and then bend into the right knee. When you're ready, start to press into that right hand, roll yourself onto your left hip, and then plant the right foot behind the back of that left leg. So you should immediately feel some kind of a stretch into that left shoulder. This can be quite intense for a lot of people, so really seeing if you can send the breath to that place. Long, deep waves of breath. If you've done this position several times, maybe you feel quite open in it, you've got some more space, you can bring the right hand behind the back. The back of the right hand can come to the lower back, or you might rest the fingertips behind the back. And then there's the option to get deeper again, only if you like. So if this is already super intense, definitely stay where you are. If you have got the space, bending into the left knee as well. Planting the feet so that they're parallel and both knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. And then just allowing the left side of the head to relax towards the floor. And breathing. Just taking 2 more breaths here. When you're ready, starting to unravel, coming out in the same way that you came in. So if that left knee is bent, extending the left leg down the mat. Releasing the right hand back to the mat, and then gently rolling back onto your belly. Straightening out the right leg. Taking the right arm out to the right side this time, and coming onto the other side. So bringing the left hand underneath the left shoulder, taking the gaze to the left side, bending into the left knee, press into that left hand, start to roll onto your right hip, plant the left foot behind the back of that right leg. Find your first edge. And that edge might not recede at all, so this might be super intense as it is throughout. Stay there if that's the case for you. If you do want to get deeper, bringing that left hand to the lower back or releasing the left fingertips to the mat behind you. And again, if you want to get deeper still, beginning to bend into the right knee. Planting the right foot so it's in line or parallel with the left foot, both knees pointing towards the ceiling. Guiding the breath to any areas of tension in the body. And just taking 2 more breaths here.
When you're ready, starting to extend that right leg if the knee was bent. Releasing the left hand to the mat, rolling yourself back onto your belly. Bringing the hands in underneath the shoulders, squeezing the elbows in, and then just tucking the toes here, lifting the thighs away from the mat maybe, and beginning to rock gently from side to side into the hips. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way back to a wide leg child's pose. So pressing into the hands, start to bend into the knees. Take the knees as wide as the mat. Bring the big toes to touch. Send the bum towards the heels. Reach the hands out in front. And begin to soften the chest towards the floor. You can bring the forehead to the mat, or you can rest it on a block or the cushion if it doesn't quite reach. And just settling into your child's pose for a few breaths. If you want to find a little bit more of a stretch down the sides of the body here, you can press forwards and down into the hands, finding more length down the sides of the body, maybe crawling the fingertips a little bit further away, but seeing if you can use that pressure of the hands into the mat to keep sending the bum further back towards the heels. I'm going to take a twist here, so lifting the forehead, coming in to thread the needle. So threading this left hand underneath the right arm, crawling the left fingertips as far over to the right as you can, so that you come down onto the left shoulder, maybe the left side of the head. Again, you can use whatever support you need here. So if you find that the head is lifted away from the floor, maybe just sliding a blanket underneath there. And again, you can keep this gentle, or if you want a little bit more of a stretch, crawling the right fingertips out in front, finding more length down the right side of the body. And if you want to make this more intense again, you might start to drop the right shoulder further towards the floor. On the next inhale, slowly unraveling yourself, coming back to center. And then when you're ready, taking that twist to the other side. So threading the right hand underneath the left arm this time. Take the fingertips as far away as you can so that you can come down onto the right shoulder, right side of the head. Maybe crawling that left hand further out in front, finding a stretch down the left side of the body and beginning to melt the left shoulder down towards the floor more to increase that stretch. On the next inhale, bringing yourself back to center. And then exhaling, just melting the chest back to the mat, coming into your child's pose. Noticing how the body feels now that you've twisted through each side. And then starting to walk the hands back in towards the knees. When you're ready, rolling over onto one hip. Taking the legs out in front. Make your way to the middle of the mat. Plant the feet. Reach the arms out in front. And slowly start to roll all the way down onto your spine. Drawing the knees in towards the chest when you arrive. Giving yourself a nice big squeeze here, grabbing around the shins. Maybe rocking gently from side to side on the lower back. And then keeping hold of the right knee, start to extend the left leg long down the mat. We're just going to find a little bit of a stretch into the right hip. So as you inhale, start to back away slightly with that right knee. And then as you exhale, begin to draw it in any amount towards the chest. If you feel really open here, you might start to bring the knee towards the right armpit. Make sure you're flexing through the left foot, engaging the left leg, pressing it into the mat. And then just riding the breath. So inhaling, backing away with that right knee, exhaling, squeezing it in. Opening into the right hip. Keeping the shoulders dropping towards the mat. Maybe tucking the chin slightly towards the chest here. Finding some length down the back of the neck. And then we're going to take a spinal twist. So bringing the left hand to the outside edge of the right knee. Start to take the right arm out to the right side. Inhale into the belly. And then as you exhale, take that right knee, over to the left side. So finding a spinal twist. If this right knee is hovering really far away from the mat, then you can grab your cushion or a block or several cushions and just create a little bit of a platform for you to rest that knee onto. So try not to just let it hang out. I want to let the knee drop towards the support or the floor. And then seeing if you can soften that right shoulder towards the floor. Maybe taking the gaze over the right shoulder if it's okay for you. Otherwise, gaze can be towards the ceiling. So just gently encouraging that right knee further towards the support or the floor. And then on the next inhale, bringing yourself back to center. Bending into both knees, again grabbing around the shins, giving yourself a squeeze. And then keeping hold of the left knee this time, extending the right leg long down the mat. Bringing both hands around the shin or the knee, tucking the chin towards the chest, flexing through the feet. Inhaling, backing away with that left knee, and then exhaling, squeezing in any amount. Again, riding the breath here, inhaling, backing away. Exhaling, finding more depth, squeezing in. And then when you're ready, taking that twist in the other direction. So right hand comes to the outside edge of the left knee, taking the left arm out to the left side, inhaling into the belly. As you exhale, starting to guide that left knee over to the right side. Again, if you find the knee is just hanging out here like this, grab your cushion or cushions or your block and just allow the knee to rest onto your cushion or your support, whichever support you have. And again, taking the gaze over the left shoulder if it's okay for your neck. Otherwise, taking the gaze towards the ceiling. Breathing into this twist, allowing the left shoulder to drop further towards the floor. And on the next inhale, unraveling, bringing yourself back to center. Bending into both knees, grabbing around the shins, squeezing in, tucking the chin towards the chest, rocking gently from side to side on the lower back. And finally, just coming into happy baby for our last couple of breaths. So bending into the knees. Keep this super soft by bringing the hands to the backs of the thighs, or if you want to get a little bit deeper, grabbing the ankles or maybe the outside edges of the feet. Again, chin tucks in towards the chest here. We're seeing if we can press the lower back down into the mat. And you can make some little movements, maybe rocking gently from side to side. Pressing one foot towards the ceiling, straightening out the leg slightly and then rebending into the knee, easing more into the hips. Drawing the shoulders back, bringing the knees towards the floor any amount. Deep breathing into the belly. And then when you're ready, releasing your grip from wherever you've got it, bringing the hands to the outsides of the knees, drawing the knees in, grabbing on the shins one final time, rocking on the lower back, or you might start to make some big circles with the knees, massaging out the whole of the spine, maybe making some figure 8 shapes around the spine using the knees as a guide. So just releasing any last bits of tension from the spine. And finally we'll make our way to Shavasana, final relax. So taking the legs along down the mat here, feet come as wide as the mat. If you've got lower back issues, it can be quite nice to bend into the knees. Again, taking the feet as wide as the mat, but just allowing the knees to fall in towards each other like a TP shape. And we're going to be here for a few moments, a couple of minutes. So you might want to grab your blanket if you've got one. Maybe put a cushion behind the head. So just getting comfortable and warm for this last few moments of the practice. Settling in, allowing the body to drop towards the floor. So getting really heavy. Imagining that you are lying on a soft, sandy beach. And the weight of the body is just melting into the floor, the ground. You might take a last cleansing breath here just to let go of any final little pockets of tension in the body. So inhaling deep into the belly, holding at the top of the breath, and then exhaling, sighing everything out through the mouth. Allowing the body to drop further, letting go completely. So seeing if you can let go of the physical practice and using this time, this short amount of time in your day, to see if you can find some kind of meditative state here. And that can simply mean just staying with the breath as best you can and recognizing each time thoughts appear in the mind. So knowing that it is perfectly natural for the mind to wander. It's exactly what the mind is designed to do. So trying not to get angry with yourself if this happens for you, even if it happens 100 times. Knowing that the moment that you recognize the mind as wandering is a moment of mindfulness, a moment of awareness. So using your breath as an anchor for your attention. This is a place for you to come back to over and over again. Finding that one point in the body that you can feel the breath moving most noticeably at this moment. And that might be different to where you felt the breath at the start of the class. Being in a reclining position can open the breath up in a different way. So tuning into your body in this moment, noticing where you're feeling the breath now. And getting really curious about exactly how the breath moves through the body. Noticing the sensations the breath creates. Maybe following the breath all the way from the nostrils, down the back of the throat, into the chest, deep into the belly, noticing the pause at the top of the breath, and following it all the way back out again. Breath coming into the nostrils cool, and exiting the nostrils warm. No two breaths are the same. Each breath is new. Each breath is different. Becoming curious about the breath. Noticing the miracle that it is, we're able to continue breathing throughout our lives. Most of the time, barely noticing the breath at all. And yet it continues. Day in, day out, moment to moment. Breathing and sustaining us. And you will find that the mind starts to wander. Seeing if you can catch the thoughts before they turn into stories or get carried away. Imagining thoughts are like clouds passing in and out of the sky. No need to worry. Just noticing thoughts drifting in and out. And as the thought subsides, bring your focus back to the breath. Constantly coming back over and over again, always back to the breath. And now when you're ready, taking 2 more deep conscious breaths into the belly. Preparing to bring your awareness back to the room. When you're ready, bring small movements back to the body, wiggling the fingers on the tips of the toes, making circles through the wrists and the ankles. Coming into a full body stretch, reaching the hands up and over the head, drawing the feet together, reaching through the fingers, pointing through the toes, inhaling into the belly, and exhaling, sighing everything out through the mouth. Bending into the knees, drawing the knees in towards the chest one final time. Maybe coming into a tight ball to seal your practice. Drawing forehead to knees. Squeezing in. And then releasing the shoulders back to the mat. Gently rolling to the right side of your body. Coming up to a comfortable seat in your own time. Keeping the eyes closed if you can. When you arrive in your seat, bringing the hands together at the heart. And checking in with yourself, noticing how you're feeling. Any calm that you've created in the body and the mind. And seeing if you can take that calm with you for the rest of the day or into your sleep. Rubbing the palms together, creating some heat in the hands. Placing the hands over the eyes, feeling the warmth. And gently blinking your eyes open, drawing the hands away. Thank you for joining me. Have a lovely rest of the day. Namaste.